Hey, what's happening out there? Come on in for the third installment of Halftime Prep Talk. Thanks for joining us at dailyindependent.com, our Facebook page, or YouTube. I'm Aaron Snyder, the sports editor of The Independent, and today we're bringing back the boss man, Mark Maynard, the newspaper's editor. And the last time we saw each other, Mark, was Friday night. We were walking a nice, steady pace to Putnam Stadium from the Unity Baptist Church parking lot and getting geared up for the game, the big game opener at Putnam Stadium.
Absolutely, getting lathered up. It was a sweaty walk from the parking lot over, 3 blocks there.
No doubt. Well, later that night, you can imagine the sweat that was pouring off me as I had to sprint back to the parking lot after getting a couple interviews. You know, we had this deadline thing we have to meet, and I missed Coach Salmons from Raceland, who we'll bring in here in just a little bit. Coach Michael Salmons, our HTPT guest today, along with Raceland senior Trey Potter. They're both coming in. But I missed Coach Salmons. I had to later call him from a 17th Street parking spot, and whipped out my laptop. Had to get the quotes from him, and then it was. I got my laptop into the office, and I realized I didn't have my MacBook cord. I left it at Putnam Stadium, so. I'm glad Ashland had a nice opener. You know, they won the game, but I don't know if I want to relive that night.
A little shaky for you.
A little shaky. I did make deadline. The paper turned out fine. We had a sports section on Saturday, and that's what matters. Unfortunately, that's not the first time I've done that with my MacBook cord. I'm starting to wonder where half my brain's gone, but that first full Friday night's always crazy.
It is. It's always confusing, and you're just we're kind of pepped up like the players are a little bit, you know. You're kind of jacked up, ready to go, and adrenaline's going and all that, and it's easy to forget something. So don't beat yourself up too bad.
And we had so many parts and so many moving parts. You know, when you talk about the photographers and the riders we have, everybody does a great job, and it's great to have that camaraderie here, and everybody comes together. And I mean, I think we put out a pretty good product, but I don't want to toot our own horn too much.
No, and it is it's a lot of fun on Friday nights in here. It's hectic, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Everybody kind of talking about the games, and you kind of get a recap in about 10 minutes of everything that happens.
Yeah, then you got to write about it.
Yeah,
that's the tough part. So let's get some quick highlights from week 2. Got to start with Putnam Stadium grand reopener. Ashland Raceland treated the packed house at the Horseshoe to a ton of plot twists, really. You know, as 1 minute it looked like the Rams had full control, and the next, Quentin Baker was running like Forrest Gump. He was running 58 yards to the end zone. The momentum changed quickly in the third quarter. Back-to-back turnovers for Raceland turned into touchdowns for the Tomcats. Tight 41-35 win for Ashland. You stuck around till win, about halftime.
Yeah.
Pictures.
Right, I was taking pictures for the news side, and I was there till halftime. And you know, at that point, things didn't look so great for Ashland. I thought Raceland really played well. Ashland seemed a little skittish, a little nervous maybe. I don't know, maybe the whole atmosphere kind of got them just a little bit, I think. A lot of penalties. It seemed like neither team could really get much of a rhythm in that game, at least through the half that I saw. And I went back, you were talking about problems, I went back to my house to send the photos, and my internet was out. So I was dealing with that. And
you had to come down.
And I ended up having to come down to the office too. But so, you know, first game things happened all of us, I guess.
That's right. That's how it goes. And in the nick of time, again, was Russell running back Nick Conley. The sophomore supplied the game-winning TD for the second straight season in the backyard brawl against Greenock County. Greenock County, I mean, we keep talking about they're going in the right direction. They really are, but Russell survives again.
Yeah, good win for Russell. TJ Maynard, I'm sure he was a little nervous. You think about first time since 1976 that anybody else led a Greenock County team onto the field besides Island alone.
Right.
So, you know, that's got to get to you a little bit. I don't care who you are. And, of course, TJ played for Ivan and all that, and all that goes with that. But good showing by Greenock, and a good job by Russell, you know, clutching up at the end and getting the win. Conley's, you know, I know he's only a sophomore, but he's already a proven player. Yes. And he's got even better days ahead, I think.
Yeah. And Bronson Corso led them in rushing with over 100 yards that night. The Fairview Eagles lit up the sky with 339 passing yards from Alex Roy, 224 of them going the way of Antoine Washington against East Carter. They scored 54 points. And what kind of concerns you if you're an Eagles fan is, you know, they gave up 29 points to an inexperienced and struggling East Carter team. But Putting up 54 points is no joke.
Yeah, you'll take the 54 points, I think, and
exciting too when you're passing that much.
Oh yeah, and different from what it's been there.
It
so I think that's a good thing for them. And Alex Roy, what is he? 6'9" or something? He's like
he's about 6'6".
Yeah, he's a big, tall quarterback. Yeah. I'm sure he's having trouble seeing over the line. So he's got a good arm, and obviously he's got at least one good receiver, and probably several others too if they've thrown for that many yards.
Right.
So Fairview, kind of an interesting team.
They are. Other local winners: West Carter, Paintsville, Johnson Central, and Lawrence County. Lawrence County actually checks in as one half of our third of the top 3 games this week. Shall we move on to the top 3?
Let's do it.
I'm going to try my low movie trailer voice.
I like it. They have an opening for that, so the movie trailer guy. So.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I might give him a call. Number 3, Lawrence County at Fairview. Rated G.
Interesting game.
Bulldogs are 2-0, Eagles are 1-0.
Right. That's been a good game, and over history, that's been a great game, just to be honest with you. Even when they were Louisa and Fairview, both of them were great Class A teams, powerhouses really, in the 70s there. And they've, I know they haven't played every year, but when they play, it's usually really good. And I think this one could be interesting. Lawrence County's got some talent, obviously. They got some of those basketball kids out that make a big difference for them, and they're putting up the points too.
Right. Fairview's kind of got a pass-happy approach going in that first game, and Lawrence County in their first 2 games, they've averaged 50 points per game, so it should be a fun one. I think Lawrence County does pull it out, maybe by a couple scores. What do you think? You got a winner?
Yeah, I like Lawrence County as well. Yeah. I think they're just a little bit better than Fairview right now. But
I just think Fairview has maybe some work to do on defense, and they'll get there maybe, but it might take some time.
This game could be a track meet, though. It could be a fun one to watch for sure.
Number 2, Ashland at George Washington.
That's an interesting game. They started this rivalry, I think, 4 years ago. And it was an unreal game at Putnam Stadium, that first one.
Been good, yeah. The first one was great.
And I think the one at George Washington, the first time was pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
And George Washington, I think, beat them last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was 35-14 last year.
Yeah, that was probably the most lopsided of the series so far.
Although it was closer than the score indicated.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool that they play, a team from West Virginia. I like seeing them playing outside the area a little bit. I know all those old Tomcat teams, they played Stonewall Jackson. That was a team out of Charleston that was so good. And this team obviously is out in the Charleston areas too, George Washington. So it's they get treated well when they go up there, and I think George Washington gets treated well when they come here. And they've got a nice, just a real rivalry kind of game, not a hatred kind of rivalry, just a good respect rivalry kind of game. And this should be a really good game.
Quentin Baker had 208 yards in this game last season. That was kind of overshadowed, though, because GW, who was a senior then, Draven Rife, amassed 265 on 38 carries.
Wow, that is tough.
I mean, that's going to overshadow almost any performance, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty bad when you rush for 200 yards and you get overshadowed. But Quentin might not get overshadowed this week. I don't know. We'll see.
Right, we'll see.
Ashland's kind of one of those teams that, they showed against Raceland that, they're going to rely on the big play.
They will.
And if you can take that away from them, you're probably going to beat them.
Right.
But it's hard to take it away from them when you got guys with the speed of Baker and Jay Klum.
Yeah, Ashland's got the speed. GW has the power. Which one's going to win? I mean, GW has a little bit more experience, I think, on the line. To me, and the fact that they're in Charleston, I think I'm going to lean towards GW in a really tight ball game. Although I think you can go either way.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ashland. I think. It's they say teams improve from 1 to 2. Of course, I know the second game for George Washington too, and they took one pretty hard against South Charleston.
It does, 56-14.
Yeah, but South Charleston's typically a really good team up in there. So I don't know how much you can draw from that really, but I'm going to take the Tomcats in a close one.
Number 1, Ironton at Russell. T.J. Maynard's first game as Russell's head coach on Ivan McGlone Field.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then Ironton, they're kind of hard to figure out so far. They lost to Coal Grove in a scrimmage, then they lost to Wheelersburg. Very talented Wheelersburg team, but they lost 42-16 in that opener. Kind of tough team to figure out, I think.
They are. They've played 2 really good teams so far, though, and like you said, and I know some turnovers, some different things like that really caught them against Wheelersburg. It was probably maybe not quite that lopsided a game as far as how the game was played, as is typical with Ironton. Ironton and Russell, Ironton's really had their number over the years. and I know they just started playing the game again just a few years ago. And it was a real good game a couple of years ago, I think, kind of a back and forth kind of game. And maybe that'll be that way this year. That is a really hard one to pick, though. It really is. I think, I think I'm going to go with Ironton.
Yeah. 3 years ago at Ironton, it was 20-14. I think that was the closest that Russell came in quite a while. Last year wasn't. Last year was a closely competed game until about the third quarter. I think Ironton pulled away. I'm going to go Ironton too. It's just one of those things that when you have that mental edge over a team, and the way that Ironton has dominated that series lately, that is a factor. Not saying Russell can't overcome it, because Russell, obviously, they're coming off a nice win over Greenup. They can run the ball pretty well, but they're still kind of, evolving and getting accustomed to this new offense.
Right.
As far as Ironton goes, they're still pretty big and strong up front. They got a quarterback that's in the second year starting, and I'm going to go Ironton in a close game.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be a very good game. I think all three of those are going to be,
It's a tough week to pick.
It is a very tough week, but I think any of those would be worth watching this weekend.
For sure. Our Super Bowl picks, speaking of picks, are coming out in the newspaper on Sunday. I'm thinking about making everybody wait for ours. What do you think?
I think we should. Since I haven't made mine yet, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
But we have Michael Sammons, Raceland's head football coach, and Trey Potter coming in. I'm going to ask them what theirs is.
Yeah, they need to be put on the spot.
They need to be put on the spot. So we'll bring them into the hot seat. Coach Sammons and Trey Potter coming up on HTPT in just a moment. I'm here with Raceland football coach Michael Sammons in his first year as head coach with the Rams. Coach Sammons, really good to have you on the show.
Thanks, man. We're just glad to be here and support our program, get all the coverage we can get, and appreciate all the things you got to do for our program.
We enjoyed doing it. It was a wild Friday night at Putnam Stadium, wasn't it? You guys competed well with Ashland, but the Tomcats did win the ball game 41-35. Are you recovered yet from that game?
Yeah, our kids really played hard. Super proud of their effort. Having a 3-day weekend was very good for us to try to let that kind of digest a little bit and heal up some nicks and bruises, and our kids are ready to go back to work today.
You guys did a really good job, it looked like, closing up the seams there in the first half. Ashland's, revered running attack was really quieted by you guys until Quentin Baker broke away for a 58-yard touchdown 2 plays after Josh Young had scored to make it 20-7. At that point, after Young scored, it's 20-7, and then 2 plays later, Baker scores. What were you thinking at that point?
Such a change of momentum so fast in our favor, then against us. They did some things there. We talked all week about, we got to make sure we take away the big play, and they hit us on a couple of big plays, and that's what they do. That's how they're made. That's how they run their team. And we had some alignment issues there. They did some stuff that we hadn't been prepared for based on being preseason. They missed week 1. We played. And so, hats off to them for making plays, but our kids were in position to win the game at the end, and that's what we're most proud of.
And you said, during the week, talking to me before the game, you said that you didn't think you'd be affected by the Putnam Stadium atmosphere, being the reopener there and everything. How did you feel like you guys handled that?
We talked all week about, there's a football game to play at 7:30. It really had nothing to do with Putnam Stadium, whether it was there or somewhere else, and that's how our kids are made. We expect to go to Putnam Stadium and win. It'll be the same thing 360 some days from now. That's how our kids are programmed. And, that's all we talked about. It was very nice, and they took very good care of us, and hospitality was nice. But as far as once the whistle blew and the ball was kicked, it was all between the white lines.
The first half, there were just flag after flag after flag at one point, and a few of those were against you guys on the sideline. I know you had a couple sideline warnings, and I know you're one away from being ejected from the game.
Yeah, I got a warning and a 5 and a 15 there. There's a guy on our sidelines, and it was a marginal call at best. I feel like he was kind of after me from the get-go, but we got that corrected with our official association. And he was a late addition to the game. It was a big-time atmosphere, not only for him, but for our kids and for our coaching staff. And same for them. And
you had to be frustrated at the time.
It was, because I was really under control. I wasn't out of control. I wasn't using profanity. I was really just coaching our kids, and it was loud. And sometimes you can get close to get with your kids, but we got that corrected. Brian Taylor White had, he commended him. He did a good job controlling the game. making sure, he came over and talked to me 2 or 3 times, let me know he wasn't upset and what I was doing was okay. And so, it was unfortunate it happened. I hate to put our kids in that situation. We talk about kids getting penalties. Lord knows the coaches don't need to be getting them. But like I said, that's something we'll, correct going forward. Hopefully it won't happen again.
Well, and your team didn't seem too affected by it. You guys ran the ball and passed the ball both pretty well in the first half. Moved the ball pretty well and had a 14-7 lead by halftime. 2 games in, though, have you noticed a difference in your demeanor at all on the sideline, being the head coach now rather than offensive coordinator?
A little bit. It's a little bit more hectic, to be honest. Before, I kind of focused on calling plays, and now there's things happen a little bit faster that I can't control anymore than I used to. And in the past, I did some subbing for us and things like that, and I just can't get it done right now. And I'm too wrapped up in other parts of the game. So other coaches have stepped up, and our staff really works well together. I told you guys from day one when I got hired, the big advantage was all of our staff stayed intact, and that's happened, and we're lucky to have the guys around us we do.
This week coming up, you got Boyd County on Saturday at home. I know the Ram reunion is a big deal every year with you guys. And can you talk about that a little bit? What's going to be happening this weekend?
Yeah, we'll have a Saturday night kickoff. We always like to have one Saturday home game a year. Try to get some extra area crowd out, and plus some of our own fans, and gives us an opportunity to get out and see some other teams too. We'll have an annual, Hall of Fame induction ceremony at 3 o'clock on Saturday. We have like a 1 o'clock open house, and at 3 o'clock there'll be 6 people going into the Hall of Fame.
Which you're in?
Yeah, I was inducted last year. They did 22 members last year. I think kind of the thought process going forward is, between 5 and 7 members a year. So there'll be 6 people going in this year. As far as recent memory, I know Tyler Bulls is going in. A guy that played here in the early 90s, J.B. Newman, just a tremendous running back, had some head injuries that shut his career short. But he's going in as well. I do not have the list of the other guys, but that'll be happening on Saturday. Of course, they'll be honored before the game. And then at 7:30 Saturday night, we'll have our home opener at Ram Stadium.
Yeah, I know that's always a nice event, the Ram reunion in the last few years. Now, I know you're a really busy guy, being a head coach, a baseball umpire, wife and kids, of course your day job at Raceland. So do you find any free time at all?
It's few and far between. Coach Fannin and I took our wives on a date this weekend, and a double date, and the true story was we went to Pikeville to watch the Pike County Bowl. So I guess that's free time, 2 hours up there and 2 hours back in the car. But, it's tough balancing act. I'm totally removed from baseball for the time being. And so, we're solely focused on football. And, you find yourself doing work from home. I tell everybody the biggest difference is my cell phone. My cell phone never stops, whether it's email, text, calls, voicemails, you name it. But the cell phone has probably been the biggest change, more so than paperwork or calling plays or anything else. Is just, a lot of different people you got to answer to. But it's been good. Like I said, I got a lot of assistant coaches around me that take up a lot of slack, and my wife's really understanding. I'm blessed there.
So where are you taking your wife on a date this Friday?
Well, this Friday I'm gonna go to a football game. She's invited. I think she's probably gonna pass, but she'll probably be there Saturday.
You know where you're gonna see?
I don't know. Paintsville Pikeville play, Greenup Fleming play, Ironton Russell play. Fairview Lawrence.
Opportunities for you.
Yeah, Fairview Lawrence. Fairview Lawrence probably be where most of our staff. We'll split up our staff to go all those places, but Fairview Lawrence play where I'll go. The Fairview game in Raceland's a very big game, as everybody knows. So that's one we're going to make sure we're prepared for. Plus, it's a district game, and we want to make sure we win our district. That's our #1 goal every season, to win the district, to make sure we're taking care of business for playoffs.
Yeah, Paintsville, Fairview, and Nicholas County make up the district there.
Yes.
I've been told the receivers and defensive backs coach Gary Fannin gets out there and runs drills with the team, and I'm sure Scott Grizzle does too with quarterbacks. Do you still get in there, mix it up, and run, show them how to run block a little bit?
Not as much as those guys. Those guys, I guess, they're in better shape than me, or they think they are, or at least they live through the kids a little bit more than me. But I'm down with the linemen now most of the time, and those guys kind of handle our skill guys. So every now and again, you want to get in there and get physical with them, but for the most part, our kids respond. And our kids respond to our staff. We get on them and tell them we love them, and we push them to the end. And you got to have a balance of kids having fun, but at the same time, work when they need to work.
Do you think last year's Raceland team might be the best to ever suit up for the race?
Loaded question, man. People in the community ask that question all the time. Certainly last year's team went farther than any other team has ever been. There's no debating that. Whether it was because of the lineman or so on and so forth, I'm not getting into that battle. I just know that last year's team went places we've never been. With that being said, I think last year's team had a very, very good football team, had some great players on that team, had a great chemistry, and they made history. And for that, they'll always be remembered. There's been other teams that made history, undefeated teams. First we had a couple teams that win 12 games. First team that went to Putnam and won. There's a lot of teams in the last, since 1928 that's been good. Last year's team went farther than anybody else. That's all we know, and we're going to try to take it one step farther.
I know you guys had to kind of replenish the some personnel anyway. I mean, just as far as a new quarterback and Josh Young and Dalen Beach graduated. Obviously a great running back that was an all-area player of the year. So a lot of turnover there, but it seems like you guys have recovered pretty quickly from that.
Yeah, we lost Adam Elkins, a 3-year starter quarterback. Lost Dalen Beach, who's a Dalen Beach electric playmaker. Lost 4 offensive linemen. We talk about all the time, not necessarily replacing those guys, but making your own way. We're not going to replace Dalen Beach. We don't have nobody on our team that can run like Dalen Beach can run. But we got guys on our team that may be able to do some things that maybe Dalen didn't do so well. And now it's their chance to shine, and that's what we keep telling our guys. And I really, our focus has been our offensive line. I think those guys the first 2 weeks, the first scrimmage game, have held their own. Now, can they make a step from here from being good and being really solid to being great in November? We'll see. But we like the makeup of those guys, and those guys keep working. We feel like we could be right where we were a year ago.
All right, Coach, we're going to bring in Trey Potter to take your spot, but before I let you go, I got to ask you, the NFL season kicks off this week. Do you have a Super Bowl pick?
Well, we were orange and black down there where I'm at about every day of the week, every day of the year for that matter. I'm a Bengals fan. I realize that hasn't happened in a long, long time, but we're going to continue to root for the Bengals. I guess as far as the favorites go, I guess the Seahawks will be right back in the mix. And if I had to root for somebody other than the Bengals, it probably would be the Broncos because we got some orange. But we're definitely just ain't Bengals fans down there.
So maybe Bengals, Seahawks.
Plus, we had a former Ram play for him, so that's
there you go.
Aaron Petrie kick for him, so that changes things for us. So.
That's right.
So once Ram, always Ram. We'll keep rooting for those guys.
Coach Sam, it's great to have you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. All right, we're here with Trey Potter of the Raceland Rams, a senior defensive back and wide receiver. Trey, thanks for coming in. It's really good to have you.
Thank you.
Hold up this annual preview right here. We got Josh Young, Connor Messer, and Maverick Dixon on the cover this year representing the Rams. And I know people that know football are asking, well, who's the fourth defensive back? Well, Trey Potter is the fourth defensive back. He's just not a returning starter. He's a first-year starter. What's it like now getting that opportunity now as a senior to be a starter on both sides of the ball?
Well, I mean, it's great. Just want to go out there and help the team any way I can. Try to get some W's.
So far, you guys are 1-1, obviously coming off a tough game against Ashland.
Yeah.
How did you feel like your team performed in that game?
I think we performed great. We showed we can hang with them. I think they're one of the best teams on our schedule. If we can play with them, we can play with anybody.
You had a really good game against East. How were you feeling that night? Were you just wanting to come out and make a great first impression as a starter?
Well, I mean, I haven't really got a chance to show what I can do. I just wanted to go out there and prove myself. Throw the ball, I'll catch it.
And what about that play the other night you were involved in? That it was like a double reverse pass.
Yeah.
Connor Messer threw. It was a perfect strike.
It was a perfect throw.
It got you in stride, didn't
Yeah.
it? It was a great play.
It was a great
one of
ball
the
by
highlight
Connor.
plays.
It's a great ball by Connor. He can do anything. The guy's a freak athlete. He's great.
How long have you been at Raceland now?
Since kindergarten.
Played football since
first grade.
Yeah. So, I mean, what does it mean to be a Raceland Ram then? I mean, I know that, just talking to different players from different schools around here, it means something different to everybody. But being a Raceland Ram your whole life, I know you guys are always talking about how tight-knit of a community and tight football team you are. So how much pride do you just take in that?
I take a lot of pride in that. We're a family over there. We have tremendous team chemistry. Spend a lot of time on and off the field together. I don't think there's anybody out there as close as we are.
Josh Young got his first career interception the other night.
Yeah.
What was the reaction from his teammates, from you guys in the secondary?
It was hilarious because he has so many opportunities to get picks, and he always drops them, always. So we always give him a hard time over that, and he finally got his first one, looking to get many more this year.
Did you think it was finally going to happen this year?
Yeah, of course. Hopefully we get many more.
You guys got Boyd County coming up this Saturday night. Is it kind of strange playing on Saturday?
No, not really. Just for football games, 7:30 we're going to kick off no matter what day it is. We can play on a Wednesday. We're going to play the same.
And, I mean, you guys usually do this every year anyway, that Saturday game for the Ram reunion and
Yes,
the
sir.
home game. So what do you know about Boyd County?
I mean, they're a good football team. They have a little bit of speed, have a really agile quarterback. We're just going to go out there and play.
At receiver, you get to work with Connor Messer as the backup quarterback and Josh Young as the starting quarterback. What's it like having those two guys throwing to you?
I mean, it's amazing. Josh has a tremendous arm. Connor, like I said, he's good at everything. I mean, they put the ball in places we can catch it, and we try to make plays.
Knowing that you had an opportunity coming into your senior season to start and get a bunch of playing time, what did you kind of focus most of your work on throughout the off season?
Weight room. I have to get stronger and bigger. I mean, I'm not a very big kid, and you have to be big to go out there and play. Have to be fast. Have to be able to catch.
Do you feel different being out there this year? Do you feel like that work's paid off?
Yes, definitely.
Trey, before we let you go, I got to ask you about your Super Bowl pick. The NFL season starts. Do you play fantasy football at all?
I haven't this year. I usually do. For some
Yeah.
reason, I didn't draft a team this year. I've been
Okay.
caught up in high school football.
Hey, that's all right. Yeah, your focus is elsewhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure Coach Sammons is happy about that. But as far as the Super Bowl pick, you got one?
Seahawks probably gonna win it again.
Seahawks.
Yeah.
Who you got coming out of the AFC?
Rooting for the Bengals though.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I think Coach Sammons wants the Seahawks, Bengals, and Bengals to win. So
Yeah, definitely.
the same one.
Yep.
All right, Trey. Great to have you on HTPT. Thanks for coming down.
You're welcome.
Let's go off the grid for a moment. Cross country, Ashland Invitational coming up at Wildwood Park this week. We'll get a gauge on who the top runners are in the area. Golf season is past its halfway point. The region championships are set for the end of the month. And Ashland and LA County could give us a duel for the top spot on the boys' side. Could be interesting there. In volleyball, Raceland still hasn't lost a game, let alone a match, inside the 16th region. Kimbria Williams could be on her way to a third straight Player of the Year award the way she's playing. Soccer-wise, a Boyd County East Carter doubleheader coming up this week. Some key matchups next week as well as the season scoots along. Remember, follow me on Twitter at DIndependentQB. And if you have any comments or questions for us here on HTPT, just include the hashtag HTPT. Until next time, I'm Aaron Snyder of The Independent. This is Halftime Prep Talk. All right. That'll do it. Number 3 in the books.